হ্যালো এন্ড ওয়েলকাম। আপনারা দেখছেন দ্য বিজনেস স্ট্যান্ডার্ড। আমি আছি শাহানুর রব্বানী আপনাদের সাথে, এবং আমার সাথে আছে ফরচুন বরিশালের টেকনিক্যাল ডিরেক্টর এবং ফর্মার বাংলাদেশ ন্যাশনাল টিমের কোচ ড্যাভ ওয়াটমোর। ওনার সাথে বাংলাদেশে উনি যেই সময়টা কাটিয়েছেন এবং সামনে উনি কি করতে চান, ওনার কোচিং ক্যারিয়ার নিয়ে এবং বাংলাদেশ ক্রিকেট নিয়ে আমরা দিব একটা জম্পেশ আড্ডা। সো লেটস গেট স্টার্টেড। সো ড্যাভ, দিস ইজ আ ডিফারেন্ট অ্যাভাটার ফর ইউ। ইউর উইথ ফরচুন বরিশাল, not as a coach but as a technical director. How has this stint been so far?
Well, it's been enjoyable to a point. It'd be nice to have won more games. The team really should have, given the talent that we have. We've underperformed, it's fair to say. We've been competitive without being able to cross the final line on a couple of these games. So, and last night being another example of one that got away. So we've got, life's going to be a little hard for us, but we need to start to string a few wins together and see where it leads us to be able to qualify for the semis.
Absolutely. I want to talk about your first stint as a coach in Bangladesh, how cricket was back then and how it is currently.
Well, yeah, in 2003, the team was not in a great place. I was with the Sri Lankan cricket team in the World Cup in South Africa, and Bangladesh had a real tough time of it, and I joined about a month or so after. So it was a stage in the history of cricket in this country, a pretty low level, and some will say it's probably a good time to join, and I agree with that, to be able to lift the team and become competitive, which we did more in the limited overs. The test matches or the red ball cricket took a little bit longer, but we did win a test series for the first time in this country against Zimbabwe. Not a bad team, I have to say. It was a good fight. So that was memorable, but certainly the development of limited overs and understanding certain principles to be competitive, and secondly to win your fair share of games was very rewarding.
For someone who's watched cricket since the 90s and followed Bangladesh cricket from the mid-90s and where it was back then, a lot of people will say that, Dav, you're the best or the greatest coach Bangladesh has ever had. When we talk about that series against Pakistan, the Multan test, could you talk us through your experience there and what it would have meant had Bangladesh managed to win that test?
Well, if we had ball tracking and DRS,
Ashoka De Silva.
Well, not so much Ashoka De Silva. It was a guy called Mr. Tiffin from Zimbabwe. He was officiating at one end for sure.
Yeah.
And we felt that a lot of the appeals were very close, and could have easily have gone either way. And if that would have been the case, there was one fellow was standing in our way of victory, Inzamam al-Haq. Yeah, and he did bat well, but we felt there were a few more than serious chances of that finger going up, but it didn't happen, and we came oh so close to winning a great test match in Pakistan, in Multan, but it didn't happen. But certainly it revived a lot of heart for followers of cricket in the country, as well as the cricket board. Absolutely. And what we're doing was we're on the right track.
Absolutely. During your tenure as Bangladesh head coach, we saw something that didn't happen before. That is the fitness levels of players going up, the fielding efforts going up. Is that something that you wanted to focus a lot on?
Together with your fielding coach, fitness coach, Paul Chapman, we had a very good physiotherapist with John Gloucester, and then John left and we got Paul Close, also very good. That helps a lot when you've got the good support people. And the fielding coach was done by a local who was very good too. So you put that all together and try and create a happy environment. It becomes really healthy for players to want to get better, and that was certainly evident. And it also reflected in the odd big win along the way against some big countries.
Absolutely. When it comes to this landscape right now, the Bangladesh cricket landscape, you're with the Bangladesh Premier League, but you're getting a different look at the Bangladesh cricketing landscape. What's the difference between the players these days? Because we're seeing so many players opting out of test match cricket, focusing on white ball and franchise level cricket. We're seeing teams not playing 3-match test series. Where do you think Bangladesh cricket is in all of that?
Well, it's good. It's in a good place. But yes, the latest withdrawal or requested withdrawal from the longer game is Tuscan Ahmed. But for good reason, I think. His injuries is possibly going to stop him from playing the longer game.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of players from other countries have opted to retire prematurely, I have to say, because of the potential earnings that the shortest format brings.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I'm hearing a lot of cricketers saying it's the sanctity of Test cricket. It's the best format to play in, but they're leaving.
Yeah.
So I'm a little nonplussed sometimes to hear all this and to see the result of it. But sadly, Test cricket is diminishing. That's a fact.
Look at the current South Africa versus New Zealand series.
That's right. I mean, there was a scheduling problem, unfortunately, that prevented the main players from touring.
Which happened because of a franchise T20 league.
Yeah, and the scheduling of it, I think. So South Africa would be one country that would continue with that format. England, Australia, definitely. New Zealand, India, Pakistan. But a lot of the other peripherals may struggle to afford to play that format of the game. So
when it comes to Bangladesh and Bangladesh cricket in general, we see the team playing a lot of 2-match test series. But you think back to your time, there was one 3-match test series against Pakistan. Why has that not developed more for Bangladesh?
And England too. I think there's only 2. Playing 2 is not quite enough, really. But it does cost money to put these on, and if the host cricket board feels that they're not going to show a return, there's every chance that these sort of small amount of games will persist. So it comes back down again to finances,
right?
Which is understandable to a point. But from a playing point of view, you'd like to think an odd number of games would be a good thing to play for. Particularly if you lose the first game, you've still got a bit of time to come back into the series.
Right. Bangladesh cricket currently is in the middle of a transition. As we can see, Saqib Al Hasan, Tamim Iqbal, 2 of the cricket team's greatest players, stalwarts, they're nearing the end of their careers. Some issues between them arose as well. They don't see eye to eye. How much do you think the team has changed? And as a coach or as a technical director, what are the differences that you need to focus on compared to what you used to do before with the team?
The team's definitely improved, definitely got better. I mean, you've had some wonderful home series victories against some big teams. And yes, you got to utilise your home conditions. I can understand that. But you do so with an understanding that when you do travel and conditions are totally different, then it's a tough ask to be able to reproduce those.
Absolutely. Do you think the coaching aspect has changed? It's more about man management rather than teaching players the technical side of things?
I suppose there was some, when I was there in 2003 to 7, there was some technical work going on, to try and improve technique. But these days, particularly with the bigger teams, even Bangladesh now, it's becoming more management. Being able to ensure that each player is up for the game, that they're ready for performance, and confident. So the coach, not necessarily the technical side, but certainly playing a role in ensuring that each of the individuals are confident before each assignment.
Absolutely. We're going to finish off, but before I do, you left your first tenure on a high. You left on a very good note. Most coaches in recent time in Bangladesh, they haven't managed to do that exactly. What brought you back, first of all? And secondly, would you like to come back and coach the national team again?
Well, that's the answer to your first question, or the first part of your question. Yeah, I left in 2007. I think looking back a little prematurely, I was a bit naive, I would say, and could quite easily have stayed.
You should have.
Yeah, a few people have said that, and I feel bad to hear it. But I was naive, thinking, there were greener pastures perhaps in our with a neighbouring country, but it wasn't to be. And I've returned.
So you regret that decision?
To a point, but it's all experience, isn't it? I mean, I went to Pakistan as well. I left IPL for that job. A lot of people say, including my wife, that it was a career mistake.
Yeah.
But it did give you experience, and so perhaps a part of it could have been. What is in front of me, I don't know. I mean, I would
you like
love to have
back?
a crystal ball.
Yeah.
I'm a professional coach. I've taken a break from Ranji Trophy cricket, and I'm not sure whether I'll go back there, which has allowed me time to do assignments like this, and also the GT20 in Canada last year. So that's really good to be able to come to places like this in a school and share experiences.
Yeah. So now the $1 million question is: would you like to come back and coach the national
Oh,
team?
that's a bit unfair. There is a very competent coach already, and I'm never kicking anybody out of the job. If opportunity presents itself, you never say never to anything, do you?
Thank you so much, Dev, for your time. And I know you're in a rush, but I wish you the best of luck with Fortune Borishal in this season's BPL, and also hopefully I want to see you back in some capacity with Bangladesh cricket.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
তো এই ছিল ডেভ ওয়াটমোরের সাথে আমাদের এক্সক্লুসিভ একটা ইন্টারভিউ, এবং আপনাদের যদি ভিডিওটা ভালো লেগে থাকে অবশ্যই লাইক, শেয়ার, সাবস্ক্রাইব করবেন এবং কমেন্টসে জানাবেন যে ইন্টারভিউ নিয়ে আপনাদের মতামত বা তার জন্য যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থেকে থাকে। এনিওয়েজ, ফর মোর সাচ ভিডিওস, স্টে টিউনড টু দ্য বিজনেস স্ট্যান্ডার্ড।